Good morning, class. So you guys had some homework. The homework was on page 23, exercise 9. Any issues there? Number 3. Exercise 9, page 23, number 3. So we are told that Siseko is hoping to buy a car when he turns 18. His grandmother offers to sell him her car for 131,071 rand. He works on he works on Saturdays only and earns 200 rand every Saturday. He saves 1 rand on the first Saturday. Each Saturday thereafter he doubles the amount he saved up from the previous Saturday. So from there already we can form a sequence, or a series in this case. He puts the money into a bottle on his desk and not into a bank account, which means to say now he's not going to get any interest or charges to the money. So if you're looking at the pattern that must be formed here, okay, so they put 1 rand in the first week, on the first Saturday, then 2 rand on the next Saturday, 4 rand the next Saturday, 8 rand, and so on. That's all. So in 3.1, in which week will his weekly payment exceed? What does exceed mean? Way more than. In which week his weekly payment exceed his earnings for the first time? And what will the amount of the final payment he can afford be? Okay? So in other words, I need to form a general term. Not so. So by forming a general term, Tn is equal to A R n minus 1. Why am I going with that formula? It's a constant ratio of 2 here, not so. So what's your A value? Your R value? 2. Raised to the exponent n minus 1. So this is simply 2 to the n minus 1. Not so. So they want to know where would it exceed, the general term will exceed 2 to the n minus 1. So in other words, it is when it's exceeding 200 rand. Anything more than 200 rand will exceed what they do, what the pattern can hold. Not so. So it's going to be 200, has to be greater than 2n minus 1. Alright. Now, if you put 200, if you're going to put 2 in the calculator, 2 to the exponent 10, that's 1024 rand. That's way over. So let's go 2 to the 8. That's also over, 256 rand. So in other words, 2 to the exponent 7 is going to be less than, not so. So to answer the question, T8 will be the first week over to will be the first week where he needs to save over 200 rand. Does it make sense? So if you look at this pattern here, let's put this in context. You've got 1, 2, 4. What would you have paid the next time? 16 rand, and then 32 rand, and then 64 rand, and then 128 rand, and then 256. Can you see there is it over already? Does it make sense? In other words, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. After 8 weeks, they count wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just check what did we get for 8? 2 to the 7. 5, 6, 7. I'm doing something wrong here. Term 1 is 1, term 2. I didn't take the -1 into account. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually the 9th term. My mistake. The 9th term. Does it make sense, people? Okay, glad I checked here. Because if you work this out here, it is where n is 8. But because you got -1, it's going to give you 7. That's why I needed 1 more. Okay, so it's term 9. But does it make sense? Okay. So the 3.2 the question says, how much will you have saved by the time he's no longer able to afford the weekly payment? Okay, we didn't answer this question completely. No? In number 1, they want to know in which week will his weekly payment exceed his earnings. So it's in week 9. Okay. And what is the amount of the final payment he can afford? So the final payment he can afford is what? 128. This is in week 8. Not so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In week 8, which is 128. Okay. There's 2 parts to that question. Okay. Then in the next question we are told here, how much would he have saved by the time he no longer able to afford to pay the weekly payments? So in other words, we're going to calculate the sum of how many weeks. How many weeks are we going to work the sum for? How many weeks can he save for people? For how many? 8 weeks. So you're going to work out Sn is equal to A odd n minus 1 over odd minus 1. So if we say S8, implies that S8 is equal to A, which is 1, odd is 2, 8 minus 1 over 2 minus 1. So you got 1 over, you don't have to put the 1 and over 1 and all of those things. So that would simply be 2 to the exponent 8 minus 1. But you put the whole story out, you'll get the answer anyway. So it's going to be 255. So he only saves over the 8 weeks 255. If you add 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, you also going to get 255. Okay. Then in 3.3, we are told that if he had been able to afford the payments, how long would he have taken him to save 131,071 rand? So are we going to set this equal to Sn, or are we going to set this value equal to Tn? 2? YTN. Remember, this is the savings. Once you put it into the bottle, it gets accumulated. It gets added all the time. Not so. So in other words, that is an SN value here, and not a TN value. You understand? So if you carry on here, so we say SN again equals a same story here. Not going to write the formula down again. You just need to write it once in the exam. So SN, they want to end off with 131,071 rand. Your A value is 1. You got R, which is 2. N is what we're calculating because the N is the number of weeks. Okay? Minus 1 over R, which is 2 minus 1. Now 2 minus 1 is 1. And that 1 can be dropped. So it's 131071 equals 2 to the N minus 1. We take it over the equal sign. So it's 131072 is equal to 2 to the N. Now I doubt that can be written as 2 to some exponent, but let's check. 131072. Oh, 2 to the 70. Okay, they chose that value specifically so that this can work. If that didn't work, then we would have to do it by process of elimination. Okay? Then you must go 2 to the 10, 2 to the 11, 2 to the 12, until you get to the value just over and just under. Then we decide how it goes. Okay? So therefore, N is equal to 17. So what does that mean to say? You will take 17 weeks to save for that call. But just to give you an idea, what would the 17th week have looked like? Okay, that's not part of the question, but I just want to show you something. If I extend this, if I double that, I'm going to get 5